Write an equation in standard form. We're given the equation y plus 2 is equal to 7 over 8 times the difference of x and 3. So we need to write it in standard form, which means we need to know what standard form is. And so standard form is an equation in the form ax plus by is equal to c, where a is greater than or equal to 0. A and B can't both be 0. And A, B, and C have a greatest common factor of 1. And A, B, and C have to be integers, whole numbers. Cannot have fractions as A, B, or C. So let's go ahead and look at the first equation and try to transform it into standard form. We start with y plus 2 is equal to 7 over 8 times the difference of x and 3. We will start by getting rid of the denominator in this fraction. And the way we can do that is we can multiply the left side of the equal sign by the number 8, and we can multiply the right side of the equal sign by the number 8. So what we're left with is 8 times y plus 2 is equal to 8 times 7 over 8 times x minus 3. Now on the left side of the equal sign, we distribute out our 8, and we get 8y plus 16 is equal to, now here we have 8 times a fraction with a denominator of an 8, so the 8's will cancel out, and we'll be left with 7 parentheses x minus 3. Now we can distribute out the 7 and multiply it by both the x and the negative 3. When we do that, we will be left with 8y plus 16 is equal to 7x minus 21. Now to get this equation into standard form, we need the term with the x on the left side of the equal sign, followed by the term with the y, and we need the constant c on the right side of the equal sign. So let's go ahead and start this out by subtracting 7x from both sides of the equal sign. What we're left with is negative 7x plus 8y plus 16 is equal to negative 21. Now we need to move the 16 to the right side of the equal sign, so we'll subtract 16 from both sides, and we'll be left with negative 7x plus 8y is equal to negative 37. Now we might stop here and say, yes, it's in standard form. We have negative 7x plus 8y is equal to negative 37. Our a is negative 7, our b is 8, and our c is negative 37. They all have a greatest common factor of 1. A and b are both not 0. A, b, and c are all integers, right? But it's still missing one characteristic, one requirement, that a must be a number greater than or equal to 0. But negative 7 is less than 0. So what we need to do to our equation so that it is written in standard form is we need to multiply the left side of the equal sign by negative 1 and the right side of the equal sign by negative 1. That will flip the sign of the negative 7 into positive 7. So let's do that now. Negative 1 times negative 7 plus 8y is equal to negative 1 times negative 37. Now when we distribute out our negative 1, we'll be left with negative times a negative is positive 7x. Negative times a positive is negative 8y. And that's equal to negative times a negative is positive 37. And now we have our equation in standard form. A is positive 7, which is greater than or equal to 0. A and b are both not 0. A, b, and c have a greatest common factor of 1. And a, b, and c are all integers. So I'm going to put a box around this. Let's go ahead and work on this second problem. We have we have y plus 2 is equal to 5 over 3 times x plus 6. And our first step will be to get rid of that fraction. So we can get rid of that fraction by multiplying both sides of the equal sign by the denominator, 3. And we'll be left with 3 parentheses y plus 2 is equal to 3 times 5 over 3 times x plus 6. So on the left side of the equal sign, we'll distribute out the 3 and we'll get 3y plus 6 is equal to, and now when we multiply 3 and the fraction 5 over 3, the 3's will cancel out and we'll just be left with 5 parentheses x plus 6. From here, the left side of the equal sign is simplified. The right side, we can still distribute out the 5. So let's do that now. It's equal to 5 times x is 5x, and the 5 times 6 is equal to 30. Now to get this equation into standard form, we need the term with the x on the left side of the equal sign. It's currently on the right side of the equal sign, so let's subtract 5x from both sides, and we'll be left with negative 5x plus 3y plus 6 is equal to 30. Now we need to move the 6 to the other side of the equal sign by subtracting 6 from both sides, and we'll be left with negative 5x plus 3y is equal to 24. Now from here, it seems that we have our equation in standard form. However, our a must be a number greater than or equal to 0, but it is currently a negative number. So we can multiply both sides of the equal sign by negative 1 to flip the sign of the a term, and we'll have negative 1 times 24. If we distribute out the negative 1 on the left side of the equal sign, we have a negative times a negative becomes positive 5x. A negative times a positive becomes negative 3y. And on the right side of the equal sign, we have a negative times a positive, which becomes negative 24. Now the greatest common factor of a, b, and c is 1. A and b are both not equal to 0. A is greater than or equal to 0, and a, b, and c are all integers. So this here is our equation in standard form.